Oh,
Isn't
now,
fighting
now,
with
now I'm getting an echo.
No, damn it.
I just heard, damn it, damn it.
Well, it's funny that it's twice. Let's see here. I want to be. What about now?
All right, keep talking for a second.
Even, totally even, no double echo.
Seems like it's good.
We're back into control. Okay.
It's saying, all right, cool. Just a small hiccup. All right.
Oh, there's a small echo.
Hey, no, I was saying there was a small hiccup. Now there's not.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I was like, no,
no, it's all good.
there's literally no other possible microphone. I have no ability to make this
Son
work.
of a bitch.
Oh man, that's comical. We had to do a Zoom presentation thing earlier at work, and in the middle of it, there was a massive technical error where all of the audio went out, but the video was still going, and everyone was like, "Oh no!" in the room. There's like 20 people in this room. Oh no, no! And I just sat there and I just thought, I know exactly how this goes.
Like, you think we would have figured it out by now, like, as a society, like 3+ years later. Like,
it's just like I felt so bad. It was, we were logged into a webinar, so it wasn't like our account that was the issue. It was on their end, but how we are right here, where it was clearly on their end, and I felt so bad for the presenter. It's just
like with video conferencing, like did Alexander Graham Bell have the same issues with the phone? Like, was
that's a good question. Did Tesla have the issues with the light bulb?
Yeah, so like, yeah.
No, his issues were totally different. He actually had a different kind of problem. But that's a big. I love conspiracy theories. We know this. Everybody on this podcast that listens to this podcast should know it already.
Yeah, I think you can just pick up on your demeanor at times and to go, yeah, it's a conspiracy theory guy. That's
yeah. Fun fact: conspiracy theory wasn't a thing until the CIA was around. Just pointing it out. Hey, go ahead. If you're listening to this podcast now and you've never looked it up, go look up MK Ultra. Mind blown. What did they do? Why were they doing it? Which is not at all related to what we're talking about on our podcast.
Yeah, but it's still good stuff.
It's still entertaining. I mean, let's say that the government gave you LSD and tried to create some mind control program. Would you be hungry or would you not be hungry?
Of all the segues we've ever done on this podcast, that was one of them.
I'm just curious. What are the nutrition ramifications? So, in all actuality, let's say that you are on some kind of hard drug. Specifically, I will use cocaine.
So you mentioned LSD. So what does LSD do to ghrelin? Like,
so that's an interesting question. Does it actually affect the hormones? Because we know that from other science that cocaine causes you to burn extra calories because of the increased rate of your heart rate. I once had a patient tell me I had to go see them for heart failure, and I was supposed to be doing this diet education for heart failure. And the first thing they said to me was, "Why does cocaine make me feel so good?" Like your problem for your heart failure is not at all related to your food.
It is, yeah. I don't know if that would be the first question I would lead with to my RD. Like, I understand like asking that question to a medical professional because but I don't. Yeah, are they sprinkling cocaine on their sandwiches? Like,
I don't know. That maybe they have cocaine and then they get really, really hungry because their body is burning so many extra calories, and just like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Those guys are just tripping the entire time.
Because like I'm thinking if I'm hospitalized, I'm sitting there, the RD walks in, like, hey, I'm Ryan, I'm your registered dietitian. Like, I may say, why does Coca-Cola make me feel so good? Not just why does cocaine make me feel so good?
Yeah.
Why do I like these food? Like, why do I have to eat 5,000 pounds of Sour Patch Kids at a time? Like that would be the stuff I would ask you, not, hey, this Coke habit I have.
Right. Yeah.
Why do I have it?
It's just like, well, you're here for heart failure because of your Coke habit. So I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma and question when you go into a patient's room. What is your attack point of entry to get to what you're actually there to talk about? Do you even need to talk about what you are there to talk about? Obviously, for that person, their primary problem was probably not their sodium or fluid intake. And if they resolve their other primary
Their
problem,
cocaine intake.
maybe that would help out with all of those other things. Um, but
So, like
whatever.
we have like differing like experiences lately because you're talking about, and then I had the patient experience today with like, hey, I'm out of my brace, and as I've already worked on bending it this far, because the first thing I
Nice.
asked the doctor, I was like, all right, so like if I just like go all out today, like as long as I'm not lifting more than 5 pounds, like I'm not gonna do any damage. He's like, yeah, he's like, that's not gonna be. It's like that's not gonna be a 1 day thing. You're not gonna be like just like really be able to increase your flexion like a tremendous amount in 1 day. And so I just kind of rolled my eyes at him, and here we are.
Yeah. I bet you can do this really well.
I actually still cannot drink with his hand jet.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I was practicing with that earlier for that very
interesting.
reason.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Your reflection, you haven't really been using it for such a long period of
No,
time.
I've been fully immobilized for 7 weeks. So
Man, I am now more intrigued about how sore you're going to be in 2 days. Will your delayed onset muscle soreness
oh, it's probably gonna be awful, and I'm just gonna power through it because I'm
incredibly
insane.
exacerbated from you trying to move your arm?
Yeah, like I'm gonna hurt like hell in 2 days, and I'm still gonna do it. So
You'll be able to use those bands a lot more, though.
it's all true. No, first thing I did was like grab those out of my gym bag. As soon as I got from the doctor's appointment this morning, I was like, all right, what can I do?
Okay. All right. Hey, that's awesome. Congratulations on being out of your brace. Way to go. I saw your post earlier. I'm super happy and excited for you.
Like
Yeah. Now you got to work on that bicep.
right. Like yeah, just like
Oh, oh, man. For those of you that are unaware, I previously sewed a lot of outfits for both Matt and I when we wrestled. There was a time when Matt came back from a wrestling injury that his legs were two completely different sizes. And we decided to go with let's make the pants fit the leg that's the normal size because eventually the other one will grow back into fit the leg. So that's similar to what Matt's arms look like currently.
yeah. If you're just listening to this on Spotify or any other platforms and not actually watching the video, you're like, what the hell is he doing? I'm double quote bicepping. Like
The double biceps pose, kind of.
I'm a single biceps and whatever the hell's going on with my right arm.
There's a bicep in there. Yeah. It's just right now you can't actually flex it. That's kind of the point of the flexion problem.
It's hard. That's what she said. But no, like it's there. All right. I feel like we've completely derailed,
Right.
which is this means it will be our most listened to episode.
Yeah, maybe so. You never know. Either way, back to the topic at hand. So one of the things that I encounter often with people, we talk about a lot about on here. One of our most listened to is actually bulking up. So if you want to put on muscle mass, what do you do? There are cyclical periods across a year where people typically, I'm not saying everyone, but typically people will try to bulk up and then they will try to cut and then they will bulk up and then they will cut. Think about whatever part of the world that you're in whenever the summertime is. People cut going into summertime, spring/summer, and they bulk up during fall, winter. Right? Now I'm all covered up. Nobody's going to see me. I'm not going to try to take things off. One of the most common things that I encounter with people that are trying to lose weight is identifying their hunger and the hunger cues. So, two separate things, not the same thing. So, the issue in that is that maybe you are hungry, but maybe you're just have been activated by a hunger cue.
Like, so what are some of your hunger cues? Because I know mine. We can go through those. So, like, say, like, what's something that's gonna trigger you to have a hunger response?
Um, I didn't think about that before. So I got to think about it.
That's funny. We probably thought about different things because that was one of the first things that came up to me. Because, like, for me, like a hunger cue for me, like, and I've gotten better about this, but used to it was like sitting watching TV at night. I think for a lot of people that's a thing. Like, it's like, oh, geez, like I need to have something just to do with my hand and put food in my mouth. So that was a hunger cue. Pre and post workout, just out of you know, like yeah, just habit. It's like, all right, I've got to have something to eat, which is a good habit to have, unlike the mindless eating, watching TV. So those are like some of the ones that come to my mind.
Yeah. For me, when we get downstairs in the morning, so our house is 2 levels. When I get downstairs in the morning and make the coffee, it's time to make my protein shake. Typical morning.
Yeah, just the smell of coffee, like almost yeah triggers. You're like, oh, like I've got to have that
Um,
shake that coincides with it.
and then I usually eat lunch late at the hospital, like when I'm working, because of when rounds are at the hospital. So we do our rounds from 10:30 to 11:30, and then I have to still see patients after that. And so I end up eating my lunch closer to 1, and that's my technically quote unquote hunger cue just because it's time to eat lunch. Then if I'm working out at home, I eat some, and I know that I'm working out. So ahead of time, I know that I'm going to be working out when I get home. Around 3 o'clock, I have some kind of snack because I know that I'm going to be working out when I get home. So I want that fuel to be available to me when I work out. Then post workout, I have some kind of quick carbohydrate and protein source. The protein source more out of habit, the quick carbohydrate because science based suggests that I need to replace my glycogen stores that I just utilize for the muscle repair. So that's a hunger cue habit. And I also know that I have exercise induced anorexia and I can't eat like a big meal really close to a workout. I've never been able to do that. And the next hunger cue would be after my kids go to bed. I can have some kind of snack, dessert, whatever that I wouldn't have been able to.
Like freedom, the kids can't take this away from me. I can I can
Well,
enjoy
yeah,
this.
you have to monitor your children. Like we'll give them a popsicle or something like that, and the older one out of the two that currently eat by mouth can handle all of that. The younger one, it's paper towels everywhere. How are we wiping all this up? Stop touching that frozen thing with your bare hands. It's melting. It's getting all over the place. So there's not really a time to enjoy the food aspect of having a dessert simultaneously with your children when it's like a one-on-one kind of thing. Like if there's a big group of us and stuff like that, then like everybody would kind of be chipping in to make sure that stuff doesn't go out of hand. But when it's just you one-on-one, um, and then so those are all hunger cues, and I think a lot of people confuse hunger cues with hunger
Absolutely.
themselves. When there's this place at Purdue University in Indiana called IBRIC for short. It is the Intestinal Behavior Research Center. So IBRC. There was a professor there at the time when we were there in Indiana. So this is between 2013 and 2016. And he had been studying hunger. So Matt mentioned ghrelin earlier, the quote unquote hunger hormone, or leptin, the satiety hormone, for a couple decades at the point that we were there. And he said, what we know is that we know absolutely nothing. And these things probably do nothing for hunger satiety. And it's more based off of, have you eaten something recently that's carrying over, or is it just a cue and you're supposed to eat? So, which I took that to heart at the time.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's the reverse of what we talked about a lot with like establishing habits. And like I think you mentioned and I mentioned both, and I think everybody out there has done this. We've established habits of when we eat just because. Like you said, you eat at 1 o'clock, you're gonna eat at 1 o'clock whether you're hungry or not. Because like you eat at 1 o'clock. That's what you do. Like I'm gonna sit and want to, munch on something while I'm watching TV because it's just what I do. So that yeah, it's intriguing to go, okay, like these these hormones that we've thought for decades, are like, oh, the big things. No, it's more about the habits. Again, it goes back to habits, 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 habits,
Yeah. If
habits.
you're in an office setting, or even not an office setting, right? You go back to a room that's available to all the employees, a kind of break room, like you're a delivery driver, and you go back to the place to grab something and there's stuff there. Do you get back to the office or get to your break room? There's food available to you there, and you have food just because it's available, or do you eat the food because you're hungry and your body's now in a not actual starvation mode, but in a mode that, oh, I haven't eaten for X amount of time and I need to have some food. That kind of mindless eating is where a lot of us, myself included, will consume extra calories in a day that aren't necessary and that could actually kind of derail your weight loss goal.
Yeah, it adds up. Like if you're trying to lose weight or even just maintain. And yeah, you're like, hey, there's 200 calories here, 300 calories there. Because I'm guilty of that too. Like when I'm not hurt, I'm wrestling. Like I'll purposely like prepare something to eat like before my match, have it in a little cooler I take with me. I'm that crazy guy, a little meal prep thing. So I'll eat that. But if they've got something that, it's a nice locker room, they're like, oh, we've catered sandwiches. It's like, well, the sandwiches are there. I might as well just have it. Like, it's like, it looks good. And like, that's 300 calories I didn't account for. So yeah, if I'm on trying to cut weight like I was earlier this year that we chronicled on here, that's, it's counterproductive to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And on the other side of it, let's say that you are quote unquote hungry and you have been sticking to it. You're not following any of your misaligned hunger cues. You have improved all of your habits to the point where you're able to not consume the extra sandwich that Matt referenced. You're not able to consume the extra slice of cake that I was talking about. All of those things. You're totally aware of all of that, but you are legitimately hungry and you need some food. What are some things that, Matt, that you've done that have helped you stave off hunger previously?
First thing I'll do is grab some water. First and foremost, I go, hey, is it just I'm thirsty? Is like and have some water and sit there and let it hit my stomach and think about it for a second, like and because I think oftentimes you tell somebody, all right, just have some water, they'll have some water. Nope, I'm still hungry, and then you're ready to grab something real quick. So I actually allow it to process in my head that I had a little bit of water. Then if it's still the case, I'm like, all right, I'm hungry. What's going to satisfy this? And so typically it's all right, it's going to fill me up. I need something that's higher protein, higher fiber. So that way I'm going to be fuller longer. Or if it's like, all right, think about that. I'm like, no, I don't want the higher fiber. I don't want the higher protein. At the end of the day, I'm going to grab that sandwich or grab that cake, but I've gone through a process before that. It's not just like, ooh, that sandwich, I need it. It's all right, water first, then some sort of high fiber, high protein thing. If and hope like typically that's gonna cover it right there. What
Right.
about you?
Something I like to do is look at one, how much are you consuming in a day? So if you are eating, let's say, 3 meals in a day and you're at 1,800 calories normally, baseline, you're at 1,800 calories in a day. Think about, is that how much that you should actually be consuming? Because most people out there probably need more than 1,800 calories in a day. And if your baseline is 1,800 and you've cut yourself now to 1,200 and you're hungry, one, you've got your body's gotten used and adapted to 1,800 calories. Now you're 1,200 calories and you're hungry. I would think about going back to the 1,800 calories, reverse dieting your way up to a higher calorie volume. So that way you can quote unquote cut down your calories back to 1,800. It's eating what you normally ate, but now your body's has adapted to a higher calorie threshold. So that way you can cut that extra 500-600 calories and out of your diet. Now you're back at 1,800 calories. You can eat what you used to eat. Then are you still hungry? Because a lot of people make that shift and they don't want to actually be hungry. Now they'll just like, oh, I'm eating what I used to eat and this is normal. Or they actually are hungry, which also happens too. In that case, exactly what Matt said to do. Make sure your protein's in check. You're getting plenty of protein. We talked about that in a previous episode. I'll link it in the show notes, how to figure out what your protein needs are. But what I would suggest doing, instead of having that blocked off to 3 meals, switch it up to be like 2 meals and two big snacks. Or you could even do one big meal and three big snacks. That way it's closer to five, spreading it out like that, where at each one of those big snacks, quote unquote, you have some source of protein and a fruit or vegetable at each of your snacks. So there are 5 basic food groups. The protein and fruit or vegetable would cover 2 food groups there. And that is more likely to, one, make sure that you're getting all the protein that you need, but then 2, getting an adequate amount of fiber spread throughout the day in a small source of calories. So you're not getting extra calories in, but you're getting that extra fiber that you need. And beneficially, that also gets you to the fruit and vegetable goal that you eat every day. Right? So you're 3 vegetables, 2 fruits, more likely to have
First time I've heard you say
it.
that.
This episode. Uh, but either way, that is, I think, a lot of people miss, and something we definitely do at Franchise Nutrition and Fitness is making sure that you are getting in the adequate amount of fiber that you need every day to help reach your goals and getting in the adequate amount of protein that you need to reach your goals.
Yeah, with fiber, I think with like the standard American diet, it can be difficult at times to get enough fiber. If you're eating the way you're quote supposed to eat, it's not an issue. Like if you're getting that's fruits and veggies and half your grains whole, like it's not an issue. And we can definitely help you program where you're getting enough fiber in there. And I think you'll be very surprised about how satisfied you'll feel and how not hungry you'll feel if you haven't had enough fiber versus having enough fiber in your diet coming from just foods that you're taking in every day.
Right. And that, I think that would help solve a lot of people's quote unquote hunger if it was actually hunger. And back what we talked about earlier, modifying your hunger cues to be, let's say, I utilized all of mine earlier. And at breakfast, make the coffee, have a cup of water. Side note, I already do that. But let's just say that I didn't do that before. have a cup of coffee, have a cup of water, or make the coffee, have water. Boom. Now I've had the water. That was Matt's suggestion. At my big snack at breakfast, I will have a insert fruit. I will have a insert vegetable to modify your habit and telling yourself mentally that's going to help with that cue to get it going. I will do this. I will do this. At this time, I will do this. You're setting up yourself for small, achievable goals there to make sure that you're getting those things in. That's going to help with your hunger throughout the day because you modified your hunger cue earlier in the day. Sorry, I need to drink some water. And then when we're thinking about later in the day, so Matt, you talked about working out and then doing something post-workout. Like what would be a way that you'd modify your post-workout to make sure that you're still cutting, but getting in what you need?
With the post workout, I typically don't modify it. Like if I'm cutting or bulking, the post workout stays the same because like you just mentioned, I take in the quick digested carbohydrate and I take in the protein source. So it's usually for me, I like fruit snacks and a protein shake. If I really, really was getting meticulous with it, it'd be like, okay, let's do a lighter protein powder. Let's do water instead of almond milk, like, stuff like that. But that's typically the one meal that I'm not going to modify if whether I'm cutting or bulking. Kind of similar to what we've talked about with cutting or bulking. Like the exercise stays the same, you modify the nutrition. That post nutrition and typically pre workout nutrition is the same for me.
Right. But what about the meal that's after that? It's not the.
Oh, okay. No, gotcha.
You're further. Yeah. So everybody that if you're new to this podcast, Matt likes to work out in the morning. I like to work out in the afternoon. So we're a little bit different.
Just I have to a little bit something that's basically kind of serves as my breakfast, before something else. So with that, like the next meal, I would probably like maybe cut down on a little bit of like the grains and add a little bit more vegetables in there, so it's more fiber, it's more filling, and less of a caloric cost.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good approach. Often I think about with the, if we're talking about typical American diet, you're looking at a plate. You can make half that plate fruits and or vegetables, especially non-starchy vegetables. That's going to be a bigger bang for your buck as far as making sure that you stay inside your calorie goals while helping keeping you fuller longer.
Yeah, I always tell people like like what cup of broccoli is what like 35 calories. Like think about how much broccoli you'd have to eat to take in 300 calories from just broccoli. Like you will not want to consume that.
Man, did you ever see that episode of Big Bang Theory where Sheldon believes that he needs to consume more cruciferous vegetables?
Yeah.
He just ends up getting really gassy and uncomfortable. That would be that if you consume 300 calories worth of broccoli.
Yeah, just think like just like 10 cups of broccoli. Just
man, that's more than a head of broccoli. Like if you took just the florets, like the whole thing, that's so.
Is that a podcast episode idea? Like we just do like a broccoli challenge. Let's see.
Oh man. Oh, I don't. Man, I need my broccoli cooked a little bit. I can't do raw broccoli.
Oh, I'm not a big raw broccoli fan. So like, we could do it. Yeah, we could do it. Just steamed broccoli. Just
we'll do that, and then we'll do the Wade Boggs challenge as the next episode.
I am definitely down with that. So, I feel like I feel like I could drink 75 beers easier than I could eat 300 calories worth of broccoli.
If I had the same amount of time that he did to consume those beers, I might be able to get that same amount of broccoli in.
So eat 10 cups of broccoli on a cross country flight. All right.
maybe. Probably not. I probably would like fall over in the aisle of the plane.
And nobody's going to want to be sitting next to you on that plane. Like.
Yeah, definitely not. Or be in between me and the bathroom. Either way, for all of you out there listening to the podcast, if you're having issues with hunger cues and modifying your habits, or you feel like you're been trying to lean out and you're just hungry all the time and you can't do it, Sign up for your free meet and greet today at franchisenf.com. We can get started on working with you with a new plan to help you achieve your goals while you're not hungry. But like we say every week, maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep.